Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and today we're going to be bringing you a battle report from the bridge of Tier 9 American destroyer USS Fletcher. But as a part of that, we're going to do something a little different for this battle report because I feel like it's important. Something's been bugging me, and it's something I want to talk about. Today over on Jingles' channel, today as I record this, it's Friday, I believe it's the 19th of November. He posted a replay of this ship you're seeing on screen right now. This is USS Kidd, Tier 8 Premium Destroyer. And Kidd is a Fletcher-class ship, down-tiered to Tier 8. And in that replay, the player in question had a fabulous game. I think he had 8 kills. He wasn't quite able to solo carry the game, right? But he played a great game in Kidd, highlighted so many of the reasons that I love this ship. But there was a section in the middle where Jingles was talking about AA. He was talking about anti-aircraft power, about how worthless it was. And this is something that I keep running across, right? I keep running into people who have this misconception of anti-aircraft firepower in World of Warships. Because anti-aircraft firepower is not meant to prevent strikes, okay? It can if you land some lucky flak and it's a particularly weak squadron, or you just get really good rolls on the flak or whatever. Like, it can happen, but it's not normal, all right? And before I get into this battle replay with Fletcher, I want to talk about how I outfit my Kidd, how I outfit my Fletcher, why that is, and then we're going to get into a replay with Fletcher where I don't do anything in the game but shred airplanes and fire torpedoes. So let's start off by talking about Kidd. Now, Kidd is essentially a Fletcher, slightly down-tiered. She is down-tiered. She drops a torpedo launcher. She picks up a little bit of extra mid-range AA ore. She has more 40mm bofors in her mid-range that give her a little bit of uptick over Fletcher in terms of AA power. When I build a Kidd out, I specifically build a Kidd to troll an aircraft carrier. This is me, okay? People don't. I realize that this is probably not a popular build. This is how I do it. All right. Obviously, I'm taking defensive fire instead of engine boost because this is Kidd. I love the defensive fire upgrade. I've had lots of people. I have long conversations with people on my chat. They tell me this thing is absolutely worthless, and I call BS. And here's why. Look at the action time right there for the consumable. With this up, right? With this, it starts with a 40-second base time. With the mod there, it's a 48-second action time. And the reload time is just a hair over a minute. Now, with Kidd, it's a little more difficult because it depends on how you have the commanders and the flags and everything spec'd out. But the bottom line is, it is possible on certain ships, like Worcester, for example, to get it so that your defensive fire can be up for 55 to 60 seconds and down for less time than that. So by the time a carrier player cycles planes, your defensive fire might be ready again if he's really wanting to come after you. Sometimes, and I've got a replay coming up on the channel soon where I get my defensive fire. Is that extra 8 seconds means that when the next wave of planes comes back near my Kidd, my defensive fire is still active when the planes get back. So that extra 8 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. And it also reduces the cooldown time, so this thing reloads faster. Okay, I also will stock AA Guns Modification 1 because that allows me to get that little extra oomph from focusing the sectors just that much faster. Shaves 2 seconds off of the cooldown of being able to do that. All right, so that's the big thing. Now, on my Kidd Captain, I also take this skill here, which gives me another 10% continuous AA damage, which is handy. All right, I like this one too. On my Fletcher, I take a different skill, and we'll talk about that in a minute. This Ovechkin Captain is my Grozovoy Captain, which is why he's configured this way, right? Kidd and Grozovoy really both get a lot of use out of Superintendent. Adrenaline Rush is a no-brainer. And then I've gone here because main battery, Kidd's not really known for torpedoes, neither is Grozovoy. And so I'm opting for the main battery reload and the continuous AA damage, all right? Now, with Fletcher, I do almost the same thing. From a module upgrades perspective, it is basically the same. Again, I'm taking defensive fire. I'm getting 48 seconds uptime. You see here, though, I'm getting even better reload time. And I think that's because of my flags, or maybe it's just the way it's designed. I am running November Foxtrot here, and I may not. Am I running it on my Kidd? I am running it on my Kidd. So I'll have to figure out what the difference there is. But basically the bottom line is I'm getting 40 on Fletcher now. I'm getting a 48-second uptime. and only basically a 60-second downtime. Really big fan of that, right? That's kind of, what the hell happened here? All right. Anyway, same idea, okay? And again, with the AA guns modification. Now, my Fletcher Captain is configured a little differently, right? Instead of main battery specialist, which honestly, you could make an argument for this skill, but for the moment, I'm actually running Fearless Brawler on my Fletcher. Now, to be honest, I should probably flop these around. I should probably run Fearless Brawler on my kid and run the AA expert and everything on my Fletcher. But for the moment, this is how the ship is built, and for the game you're about to see, this is the build that I'm running in Fletcher. So let's go have a look at the game and show you what I'm talking about. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Islands of Ice. And yes, it's everybody's favorite. It's Epicenter. Now, you've looked at the build for the ship, but I need to also help you understand why I build my Fletcher and my kid this way. One is, I have a perverse love of murdering airplanes in World of Warships. I've loved it ever since I was able to start playing anti-aircraft destroyers way back in the old RTS system. You get up to the height of the American line, Benson and Fletcher and even Gearing. Really good AA on these boats, kind of the original quote-unquote AA destroyers. Absolutely loved it to then, love it now. But in the new system, in the old system, AA was random, right? It was completely random. The game would make random rolls and randomly decide if your AA killed planes. But now, AA is a numbers game. That's all it is, straight up numbers game. And so the reason that you have to invest in your AA is because the carrier player is invested in plane health. And if you don't invest something, if you want to play an AA boat and you don't invest something in your anti-aircraft power, whether that's a flag, a module, something, some captain skills, you're behind. You're behind the 8-ball, and your AA is just going to feel that much less effective. Spawning here on the western flank of Islands of Ice, I actually have really good matchmaking. Yes, I'm middle tier, but more that the enemy carrier is a Kaga. That's going to make my AA more impactful. Why? Kaga's planes are already a little weak for the tier. They're tier 8 planes, and then even then they have a little less health than average. Squadron sizes are bigger. Individually, the planes have a little less HP. Now, because this is a snowstorm map, what I'm doing, what my original thought process, I'm going to get up there and cap things. But I realized that it's on this flank, it's me, the Yamato behind me, and the Dezeve Provincia behind me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play a screening destroyer. I'm going to screen these guys from torpedoes, planes, whatever. And the other thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to do my light cruiser behind me, my AA light cruiser behind me, I might add, because he and I are going to do really good work trashing this Kaga and making his life hell and protecting our Yamato. I'm going to lay him a smoke screen or two along the way, and this is so that he can snuggle up into smoke and you know, do his light cruiser things without fear of hopefully getting smashed by that Izumo, to pick an easy example. So I bag a lot of planes in this particular stretch. I think he dropped a fighter or something. I'm not 100% positive exactly where all these plane kills come from, but in less than 3 minutes, I have 20 plane kills. Now, some of them are fighters, and this is something that I think a lot of people, I'm going to use the term misunderestimate, right? When talking about plane kills in these games, right? They get all fixated on, oh, we shot down 120 planes and the carrier still had planes. Well, yeah, because some of the planes you shot down were fighters. And fighters, most carrier players will drop fighters to spot, of course, but then the fighters are stupidly easy to kill. Even a destroyer with virtually no AA has an easy time killing fighter planes. And so it's very easy to rack up a bunch of fighter kills. The question you always want to be asking yourself and looking at the end of a game in terms of how effective was my AA is, how many bombers did I kill? Was I able to be useful in defending and killing high-value planes and not low-value fighters? So as we move up the 2-3 line here on the western flank, the opposing team not really seeming to know what to do. I'm trying to stay out in front of these guys. Certainly the Dezeve, I want to sit out in front of the smoke and spawn for him, and I want to help screen the Yamato from any kind of torpedoes, because that Merker and the Haba are around. We know the Haba's in the middle of the board. I'm not super concerned about his torpedoes, but I'm not quite sure where the Merker is, and I at least want to make the effort. The Yamato is kind of pushing mildly. The Izumo has turned around. The Haoyu is the one that I really wish they would thump, because I'd actually probably open up on the Izumo with my guns. Not really super concerned about that guy, but the Liu and his big nasty HE shells can do mean things to me. I have to be very frosty about not letting that guy take a bite out of my ass. The Haverovsk is staying towards mid. I dump my torpedoes over that way, thinking, he's going to play around. Maybe he'll duck back this way. Maybe he'll blunder into one. That's the reason for that salvo. Plus, these guys in front of me are running away. Torpedoes from a stern like this are really not going to be all that useful. Smoke cloud there. You catch it just briefly off the starboard side. That's the Merriker. So both he and the Haba are on kind of like the top end of the epicenter circle there. Not being all that effective at the moment. In fact, they've pushed the Haba out of mid, the Friedrich and the Yu Yang, and we're able to start making some inroads there in the inner ring. Now I keep having to work around these islands to keep line of sight on these guys. But again, my main goal is I want to keep vision. I'm out here intentionally playing forward to these guys to spot and make a nuisance of myself. Kaga's bringing his planes back for the moment my AA is off. That's intentional. I don't want to give the Haoyu a great shot, but basically he's going to stumble across me anyway, since he's trying to get in there and get some bombs on the Yamato. I'm going to absolutely murder a whole bunch of planes right here. Thankfully, blessedly dodged the nasty Dutch salvo, and like two planes are going to survive to drop on the Kaga, and they're going to miss. So again, we're not even 6 minutes into this game. I have a nice chunk of plane kills. I feel like for the moment, I'm succeeding in the job that I have set for myself on this particular deployment in this particular mission. Right? I have tons of plane kills. We've kept the Kaga away, although here he comes back again for more. And I'm screening the Yamato and providing the occasional smoke for the Dzeve Provincia. Now, because my defensive AA is down, I'm leaving my AA off. I want to double back and get a little closer to my friendly ships here as the Kaga's once again coming with the HE bombs for the Yamato. I'm going to pitch in what AA I can, but I'm coming back for two reasons. I'm looking for a little extra AA cover to make sure he doesn't single me out, and I'm also going to re-up the smoke screen for the Dzeve now that we've pushed up as far as the D line. Team's not doing so bad. We are down a ship. We weren't able to finish capping mid, but it's still, there's plenty of time in the game. We're only 140 points down. It's not that bad, and I'm not super concerned just yet. Right now, I just want to continue putting pressure on this flank by working with these two guys who we never actually even said anything in chat, and yet we're working pretty well together, which I'm a big fan of. It's you don't team play, World of Warships. What? Here comes the Kaga again. My A is actually up this time. I go ahead and pop the defensive fire, looking for the extra flak and the extra bit of punch there to try and just shred as many of these as I can. And sure enough, the entire squadron dies. Not one of those planes survives, and there's my defensive AA expert. We're going to loop around and give the Provincia a little bit of a leg up here. As I cut back to the west here, we're going to start the smoke screen up. And again, providing the Yamato and the Provincia a little extra cover so they can continue moving. We have gone up a couple of ships here, and it's at this point the Kaga, for whatever reason, I think decides, you know what, I have had enough of this garbage. We pretty much don't ever see that guy again. Now, the Haoyu, of course, he does stay around, and we managed to pick up one more of these planes or something like this. But, you can see there on the minimap, the Kaga had originally spawned on this side of the map. I don't know where he is now, but he obviously thought, hey, no, I'll have my way with these guys on this side of the map. And as it turns out, between me and the Provincia and my defensive fire and just his base AA, Kaga not really being all that effective, right? Our Yamato still has a good chunk of health, and between the Provincia's heals and my smoke, we've managed to have an impact and push these guys out of here. So, in my mind, we've more or less succeeded in this push. Again, team's working a one-ship lead. I'm successfully screening the Merriker torpedoes here. Those are spotted now, so the Yamato will have plenty of time to dodge those. I'm actually potentially looking. I want to try and keep this Merriker spotted, if no other reason, to give my team an opportunity to keep shooting at him. But as it turns out, he's going to stop and smoke up, thinking he's going to do the same. The Provincia is going to go for an airstrike, and I'm going to go for something a little more traditional. I'm going to take one rack at the Haoyu, who I think I'm betting is going to bank and turn over by those icebergs. And the other, I'm just going to dump into the smoke with this Merriker as we cut into the middle ring to at least try and deny. Well, our team's already denying them those points, so no big deal. See, look at this. I mean, I'm up to 60,000 spotting damage. I have 40 plane kills. I have done 0 damage in this match. Not 1 point of damage. We're almost 10 minutes in, and I feel pretty good about my game. I've had fun. I've been effective, and I've helped my team. And this Merker is my first damage of the game. As we finally bag a kill there and take him down. Again, about a 100-point lead. Again, with the 1-ship lead. I'm really hoping this Yamato can pick up the kill on the Haudenosaunee. I'm hoping that maybe I can catch him with one of these torpedoes. As it is, he's just a little too quick. Doesn't quite happen. He's going to get around behind that iceberg, or that island, I should say. Not much going to happen there, which is a real bummer. So, outer ring remains contested because the Haudenosaunee is in it. Middle ring looks like it's going to get picked up by the Georgia and the Pommern. And I noticed that the Izumo has decided to quit running. So, my next few minutes, I'm actually going to turn a little back to the south. I'm thinking he's going to turn to the south here. You see him start to, but somewhere along the way, he thinks better of it and decides, no, he's just going to go toe-to-toe with the Yamato. So I now have to wait for my torpedoes to reload. We'll circle around, we'll loop around, play a bit on the top end of the map here, and just do what we do, because it's going to be a few minutes. It could be about 60 seconds or so before I've got torps back in the tubes to deal with this. Now, in the snowstorm, I've also actually got another advantage running here. My surface detection, is a little lower than it otherwise would be. Normally, Fletcher on the surface, 5.8. Here in the snowstorm, it's actually 5.2. So I can get even closer. I can thread the needle even closer to this Izumo than I ordinarily would, just because of the weather conditions. Provincia doing what he does. I'm actually, right at this moment, I'm considering going back to smoke for him, but I checked the bar on the left, the team bar. He's pretty healthy, right? Again, between his heals and my smoke, he's had a pretty good game so far in terms of preserving his health pool. And the Izumo seems mostly concerned with firing at the Yamato. The Provincia's not even really shooting. I guess he doesn't want to provoke the ire of the Izumo, doesn't want to run the risk, right? And I can't say I blame him. If I was in a light cruiser, I don't know that I'd get all that excited about that either. But you see there, the snowstorm allows me, look at that, 5.5. Normally I would be detected at this range, but because of the weather, I get about another half kilometer to play with, and I'm able to really line those torpedoes up nicely. And, well, let's just say that Izumo's not going to be very happy in another few seconds. Team's doing a great job over on the other flank. We're kind of herding the surviving ships onto the 10 line. Izumo's going to take about 4 of these, and, well, that's going to be his game. Again, we've got back on a 2-ship lead. We own the 2 middle rings. Quite a solid lead shaping up here. And at this point, it's all kind of cleanup. I'm not going to get any more damage, I don't think. I'm never going to fire my guns once in this game as main battery. Not once. But again, they did a ton of good work as dual-purpose guns, shredding all of those planes. So, I guess I had already originally intended to show this replay, but watching the Jingles' video today and hearing him kind of, rag on A little bit, it triggered me a little bit, mostly because I continued, and I said this earlier, I continue to see people in World of Warships who misunderstand what AA's purpose is, or at least how I look at it, right? I won't pretend that I'm wargaming and I speak for them, but AA in the new system is a tax that the carrier player has to pay to drive home a strike, okay? He will, against most targets, in most situations, he will lose planes in exchange for damage. And when Zath and I cast competitive warships, we always talk about board position. If you want to claim board position, you have to give up health to acquire board position. Randoms works the same way. It's just less obvious. In competitive games, it's pretty obvious that's what happens. When a carrier's in the game, a carrier usually has to sacrifice planes to achieve damage. Not always. There are certain targets you can strike easier and so on, as we all know. But the reality is that in most situations, the carrier player will take losses to push home a strike. All improved AA does, is increase the price the carrier player has to pay. In some cases, The carrier player may not want to pay it. He may decide, you know what, that's too expensive for my blood. I am not going to pay. I am not going to cough up all these planes just to get, 10,000 damage on this guy. In some cases, especially if your ship's low on health or if it's a critical ship in a very critical position on the map, carrier player might go, yeah, absolutely. I will 100% cough up whatever it takes to kill that ship. And so you have to look at AA through that light, okay? You have to look at AA as how much pain can I inflict on the enemy carrier to either dissuade him or make him pay through the nose to strike me. That's kind of how I look at it. And in a case when you decide you want to build a ship for AA, you have to remember the carrier player is doing everything he can, every captain skill, every module, whatever he can do to buff the health of his planes. If you're not making an attempt to buff your AA values as well, you are behind the 8 ball, right? It's a simple math equation these days. AA is simple math. You have a DPS value, the plane has a health value. When your DPS is enough to kill a plane dies. And then the next, and then the next, and then the next. It's simple math. It's not RNG anymore. So if you're not keeping up with the Joneses, you're not killing planes as fast as you want. It's literally that simple. Anyway, guys, I hope that helps a little bit. I really enjoyed this particular game in Fletcher, and it was really unique for me. I'm glad I was able to share it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. In the meantime, wash your hands, be safe, and I'll catch you next time.